The preliminary patch notes for patch 5.1 coming out October 29th have been released, and I have been itching to find out the new job changes myself, so let's get right into it. I'll be stating the change and then giving my own personal thoughts and opinions on it. As someone who has played all classes to 80 and has taken them into a wide variety of content at this point, I think that I can shed a little bit of insight on how these changes might pan out, or if they're kind of like worth looking at and being like, oh yeah, that's a really good change, or oh no, that change really might not be good. Due to the extremely large size of some of these changes, I'm actually forced to break up my coverage into a few separate videos rather than have like 1 hour video or 2 hour video. Tanks and healers are going to be the first video, and that's going to be this video right now, followed by DPS, followed by separate videos on Ninja and Summoner due to the incredible size of their changes come patch 5.1. I just do not think that anyone wants to sit through a full hour of changes right now. So without further ado, let's get right into the tank and healer changes. In terms of the roll ability changes, we have the tank roll cooldown reprisals now being an area of effect damage reduction and now lasts 10 seconds up from 5. This is a huge change for both savage rating and expert roulettes and even leveling, because I can say that the timing on reprisal was a bit of a pain, and so seeing some wiggle room open up here is more than welcome. And of course, in leveling dungeons, area of effect is going to be primarily what you're going to be going against, and so being able to reduce the damage of a lot of mobs at once is going to be a huge benefit. And lastly, for the healer roll actions, we now see rescue being only at 120 second cooldown, down from 150. Oh no, this means more trolling. But with a more coordinated group being saved from Leviathan's Maelstrom puddle phase more often, I don't know how I feel about this change, honestly. And now starting off with the Paladin, Dark Knight, and Gunbreaker changes, and a small part of the Warrior changes that I'm going to be getting into right after this. There's a tank change coming that the developer stated during the last live letter, and that's all of the tank 30% damage reduction abilities are going to have their duration boosted from 10 seconds to 15 seconds. Now this might seem like a joke or super small, but believe me, after taking tanks to leveling dungeons, expert roulettes with wall-to-wall pulls, and savage rating, this is actually definitely a significantly big deal. Even if we learn how to time the 10-second buff appropriately, there's always more time welcome for reduced incoming damage or reducing error, because remember that some of the tank busters that are faster in the game, you kind of have to predict when it's going to be, or like try and time it as close as you can, and then make sure that like ahead of time you have the buff already on yourself. And so basically this reduces the margin of error and gives you a little bit of wiggle room. And in terms of leveling dungeons and the rest, flat out it's going to make you more durable for a longer period of time. And hey, healers are happy. Happy healer, happy life. Now, for the rest of the warrior changes, these are just slight duration increases to Holmgang and Raw Intuition. In terms of Holmgang, this is something that I do like because the timing was so precise and so small that your margin of error was actually ridiculously tight for some things like Fey Light soaking on Titania. But this Raw Intuition buff of 1 second, meh. Warrior in my experience generally would prefer their Nascent Flash ability in most instances anyhow, and 1 second honestly, I'm sorry but this isn't enough to make me prefer it over Nascent Flash. It's really not. And now let's get into healers. So White Mage had the Asylum Dome, which is just their healing over time effect dome, increase in size from 6 to 8 yalms, and let's be like really real here. Compared to Scholar's Dome, White Mage's dome was frustratingly small, and so this is a really welcome change in my opinion. Temperance effect is now apparently applied immediately after execution rather than having a slight delay. Of course, after playing Paladin with Hollowed Ground after so many years, I wonder how immediate they mean by immediate. We're really gonna have to see. Now, in terms of Scholar changes, these are really not what I want. Sorry, is that too honest? Well, it's getting its own video in the future, I can tell you that, because this sucks. So Summon Seraph duration now has 2 more seconds, but now Seraph needs to wait 2 more seconds to begin executing actions. Yay! Just what I wanted. A more clunky fairy. Yay! I'm so happy I play Scholar. Clunky fairy on my own hotbars with abilities I need to cast that I cannot concurrently cast anymore after 6 years of learning to cast them with the same time of my own abilities. It just brings me so much joy. And then we need to change we have a change to steady where Embrace and Seraphic Veil won't be cast when the pet is set to steady. If I'm being real here, I don't think I've used steady in quite a few years, and that's even including Eureka content where it could have been maybe useful. And now let's talk about Constellation change. It has a 30-second recast timer, meaning your charges come back one after another every 30 seconds. This changes nothing in the actual gameplay. And I have no idea why this was done. So, as a Scholar main, Please kill me. These are not the changes I wanted at all. But at least Eos will show up in the party bar. That really doesn't make me feel much better. And now Astrologian has had the most changes out of anything that I'm going to cover in this video, and so this is going to be a little bit longer. Astrologian now has a solid increase on Combust and Combust 2 and Combust 3, basically just the evolution of it. Combust 3 now deals 15 more potency, a tick for a total of 60, and in my opinion, this is much needed with Astrologian. But now this really makes me wonder if the Astrologian is coming for Scholar, because like their DPS increase is definitely significantly closer with their buffs. And now let's talk about Malefic 4, getting into that. So Malefic 4 has had its potency increased by 10 from 240 to 250. Remember though, White Mage's Glare is at 300, and likewise the Scholar's Broil at its max level is going to be dealing 280. And so the Astrologian is really coming for the Scholar with these changes actually. So we're going to have to see how that turns out. So Essential Dignity also has seen a slight buff, increasing the maximum potency by 100 when the target is at super low HP. Aspected Benefit in Nocturnal Stance has had a decent quality of life boost with a reduced MP cost from 1000 to 900. It's still gonna eat your MP bar very quickly, no doubt, but hey, you know what? I am gonna take MP on the Ast wherever I can get it. So you know what? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, especially now that we can't restore our own MP with the Ewer card. I still miss it. Aspected Helios has had something similar, but for both stances rather than just Nocturnal for the one that I just talked about. Reduced MP cost from 1100 MP to only cost 1000. Minor Arcana now is going to have a small quality of life change to Lord of Crowns or Lady of Crowns. Basically, it's going to change to one of those two before you draw a card when you draw a card. So now if you hit Minor Arcana, your next card will just be a Lord of Crowns or Lady of Crowns immediately. So decent quality of life boost if you already have the seals you want, I suppose. Now the biggest and most detailed change for Astrologian is definitely the Collective Unconscious ability, an ability that I honestly felt that it kind of fell flat on its face, and many other Astrologian players that I've talked to in the past have really felt the same. So let's see how it kind of works now. It's a little bit different. So now it's going to create a ring around the caster that's going to differ in effect based upon what sect you're in. So whether you're in Diurnal sect or Nocturnal, you're going to get a different effect. So in Diurnal effect, you're going to be getting the bubble itself is going to reduce the damage taken by 10% and apply a buff to your party members called Wheel of Fortune to yourself and any ally that enters it. This Wheel of Fortune buff is going to also be applied, of course, in Nocturnal stance, but we're focused right now on Diurnal. And so the bubble is going to last 18 seconds whether you're in either of the stances. So Wheel of Fortune in Diurnal stance is going to be a 100 potency heal over time effect lasting 15 seconds. The bubble in the Nocturnal stance will apply a heal over time effect though. So, and that's heal over time effect is going to be replacing the 10% damage reduction that the other bubble had, where the heal is going to be 100 potency from the bubble, and the bubble here also lasts at 18 seconds, of course. Wheel of Fortune effect, however, will reduce the damage taken by party members by 10% for 20 seconds duration. So the recast time is probably the biggest change in my opinion, and really is something that I feel was necessary for the Astrologian, and so now it's only 1 minute. And so this is very, very, very much more widely available cooldown, and with the duration of the buffs, I can see good reasons to actually cast this ability, just to apply that buff and move on with healing or DPSing on the Astrologian, because I really don't think that you're gonna every minute want to just stand there, so you're just gonna quickly pop it, get the buffs, and then run off. And the radius of change actually is also another good boost, which similar to White Mage's Asylum is much welcome change, anything to make that quality of life a bit better. Well, that is all for this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to help support me, then if you'd leave a like or subscribe, that would go a really super duper long way to helping me and is very appreciated. Well, now it's time to get started working on the Ninja and Summoner videos.